Okay, and on the next slide, there is also a disclaimer about websites and how Ashford University is not responsible for anything that is in these PowerPoints.
Sounds good. I'm ready to take it away. So we've got lots of goals for this session today. During this session, we're going to explore the benefits of collaboration with families. We're going to identify and share personal strategies for successful partnerships with those families, and we're going to share strategies for meaningful and repeated communications. And here's a photo of me. Dr. Tisha already introduced me, so I'm just going to skip right over this. We have an agenda for today, pretty straightforward. We're going to do introductions. We're going to talk about the importance of collaborations. Don't wait. Establish those expectations with your families as quickly as possible. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about having an open door policy, what that means, how to nurture those relationships, how to listen when families talk. Really, really important concept. We're going to share how to acknowledge concerns that they have and how to apologize when they are concerned, as well as body language, written language, and spoken communication. And we're also going to talk about keeping those line of communications open, and we're going to end with a sharing time. So I'd like to start off just to get to know each of you a little bit. Who are you? Where are you from? Are you working with children and their families right now? What are your career goals? Are you an Ashford student? If so, what program are you in? If you're not a student, are you alumni? Are you faculty? Anything that you can share to help me to customize this presentation would be wonderful. You can just share that right in the chat box. Okay, I see a few of you sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Excellent. Well, as you continue to share, I am going to move forward with our presentation, but don't hesitate to share a little bit about yourself. Really helpful to see, especially when I'm preparing for next year's presentation, and I will be presenting again next month, so it'll help me to see what types of people we attract to our sessions. Relationships with families lead to positive parent-child relationships, which is essential in early learning and healthy development. It's so important for us to think about that. You know, those relationships that we have with families, when we're able to communicate with them, share tips, share resources, share that we care, share that they're doing a good job. All of those little things really do help parents to partner and work with their children a little bit more. So when we can share examples of their child's strengths or areas where their children need a little bit more help or support at home, that's really going to open those lines of communication and really ensure that children are growing and developing at optimal rates. Parents also count on us to be resources for them, right? Teachers are considered experts. So as early childhood educators, your teachers in your programs are coming to you if they need advice for anything. So truly important for you to provide some guidance with families, setting realistic expectations, helping them to monitor some issues that they might be facing, know where to locate resources. That is so, so important. We today have the internet right there at our fingertips. Go crazy. Look through the internet. Find some resources. As you're taking your program, if you're a student here, any of those interesting articles that you're getting, any of the research that you have to do for discussion forums or for your assignments, if you found a resource, something in your community, document that, save that, because you never know when your family's going to ask for that. When I owned my child care center, I had a binder and I had it separated by areas. That way there, if a family came to me, if they had a child who had been diagnosed with autism, I could give them a large list of resources that they could look through. And it was really, really helpful. Parents like that. I gave them links to websites as well as to brochures. So just really know that as an early childhood educator or an educator, we are resources for our families. It's important to collaborate. Whether you've been teaching for just a few weeks or for many years, you've probably heard about those parents that make you want to pull your hair out, right? I think we all have those parents from time to time that we don't know what to do, right? They're never happy. Unfortunately, although there's many perks to being an early childhood educator, working with those difficult parents are part of the territory, right? As such, we need to begin communicating with them and building a positive relationship right from day one. Greet them, use their names, greet them by whatever they prefer to go by. Are they Mrs. Smith or are they Susie and Peter? Mr. and Mrs. Smith or Susie and Peter. Whatever they like to go by, address them as such. Really get to know them. They're Johnny's mom, but they really have a first and a last name, and many of them would like us to know that. Create a cheat sheet that you can post in your classroom. That way, there you know who belongs to who, and you don't forget those names. Especially some of those families that have tricky names to remember. They might pronounce them a little bit different than you do. Really important that we try to collaborate right away. Don't pull your hair out. Don't shy away from those difficult scenarios. And we're going to talk about why throughout this presentation. So one of the first things that you want to do is you want to establish expectations. Find out what the parents expect from you, what they expect from your program, and let them know what they can expect from you in their program. Sometimes we are in sync, and sometimes they might expect things or want things that we can't do. So having that open door policy, letting them know what we can do, what we won't do, is really a nice way to build that family partnership. And if they're asking us to do something that we typically haven't done, but it's not going to hurt or harm anyone, we might want to consider adding that policy or that expectation to our things to do. So you want to ask them what their expectations are and have an honest discussion with them. If it's not developmentally appropriate what they're asking for, share a resource with them, letting them know what is developmentally appropriate. Really important that you do that and have those open and honest conversations with families. It's going to show them that you care about them, that you care about their family, and that you want the best for their child and their family. So an open door policy, this does not mean that you have to have parents in your child care facility each and every day visiting for hours upon hours at a time, right? What it means is inviting families to ask questions, inviting families to spend 5, 10, 15 minutes at drop-off time or pick-up time, inviting them to share resources for your newsletters, inviting them to come to you if they have any comments, concerns, or anything that they want to share. Of course, inviting them into your classroom to volunteer is always very, very helpful, but we want to be cautious with that because you might have a family that wants to spend all day there, right? So really, really important that you be cautious with that. Know what your expectations are, know what you can do, how it's going to help or not help the children in your classroom. Sometimes if families are there for too long during the day, it just extends the transition for them leaving. So sometimes you have to ask families, you know what, I think it might be easier if you left a little bit earlier. So having that open door policy is really having that open, honest communication with them. Your open door policy can be sharing with them in a variety of different ways. You might want to do some parent-teacher conferences. You might want to do flyers, a school bulletin board, individual emails, a Facebook page, using technology. When I owned my childcare center, I used remind.com. It was a great, great way to communicate with families. I would let them know about day's events. I would send them photographs. I had it turned on so we can do one-on-one communications too, so I could just send a photograph of their child. Have a Facebook page. Social media is here. It's here to stay. Create a private page. I invited just families, teachers, and volunteers. Once they were no longer enrolled at my program or working at my program, I did release them from our page because I wanted to be for current families. I wanted current families and staff to be able to share. I did have another page for alumni as well, and that anyone could share. But the private page, really, I was sharing pictures of photographs of the children doing their work during the day as they were playing and engaging. And make sure that if you're doing anything like this, like Facebook, or doing something through technology, sharing photos, that you have a sign-off release from families. Families really love to see pictures of their children being spotlighted for doing something during the day. I think it's a nice way to build that open door policy and to let them know that we're here and we share what's going on during the day. One of your most important things is to nurture that partnerships with your families. You want to do that right away. You want to attempt to have at least 3 positive interactions with families before sharing anything that might be negative. Okay, so start from day one. Let them know, Johnny came in and, his first day of preschool, and he did really, really well. He was a little quiet for the first 15, 20 minutes or so, but by the time he sat down for a morning snack, he kind of got right out of his shell, and he was playing, and he played with 3 other little children. He made 3 friends during the day, and give them an example of what he did that was wonderful, that got him out of his shell. Then you might want to continue on, but let them know, by nap time he was a little out of his comfort zone, but I sat next to him and I read him a story, and he ended up falling right to sleep. And after nap, he was playing. He really enjoyed his day. So really go into details. So a child's first day, you don't want to just say, yeah, he had a good day. He had a good first day. You want to go into details. When did he have a good day? How long did it take for him to get out of that shell? Okay, so you want to nurture those relationships right from day one. And you want to share. Share a little struggle. He had a difficult time at nap time, so I sat next to him and I read him a book, and he ended up falling right to sleep. That way they know that you do care, that you paid attention to their child during the day. So important. Another thing you want to do is you want to introduce yourself to each parent. Write them a quick note or a card. You can type something up. I recommend individualizing it if you possibly can, but sharing how much you enjoyed having their child in your class, using their child's name in your letter. If it's a family that you're never going to see, maybe you work from 7:30 until 4 every day, and this family drops off at 7 and picks up at 5. You can let them know, my hours are 7:30 to 4. One day next week, I'm going to come in at 6:30. I'm going to volunteer to come in early so I can meet the families that I don't normally see. Let them know that. Be flexible, especially when you first start. It's going to really help you to nurture those partnerships with families. And I know you're thinking, wow, why would I want to volunteer an extra hour at my brand new job? It's going to save so many heartaches in the long run. It's going to help those families and even your child care director to know that this person really cares about our children and our families. Wow. It's going to impress them that you're there. You came in early, you stayed late, whatever it is that you did to meet the families that you could not meet. You want to maintain a family-friendly environment at all times. There's ample evidence out there that schools that have friendly, welcoming partnerships, their children do better at school. Obviously, these programs will be more successful if they're accompanied by friendly, respectful attitude, but they can be communicated in many different ways. Sometimes you don't have time to talk to the parents, right? They're walking in, you're in the office, and you've got somebody else chatting with you. Smile at them. Pleasant greetings, signs and decorations, recognizing different cultures, having a clean, bright, inviting environment is going to help as well. So what you want to do, or you might want to consider, is having a parent or family center, just a center with some teacher resources, some resources for things that families can do at home, resources with brochures of different activities going on in the community that might be family friendly, anything like that. Offer good, frequent, and user-friendly communication. Again, that can be electronically, it can be through flyers or posters on your doors, things on your social media page, anything like that. Organize some social activities for teachers and families. At my child care center, I always did social activities for my teachers, and when appropriate, we included families. Also provide parent education and family-friendly programs. You know, there are many professional development workshops that you might be doing for your employees that might work for some of your families. If you're doing something on child growth and development, or a CPR class, or how to use a fire extinguisher, why not invite families to those trainings and workshops as well? It's going to not cost you anymore, because that person who you're paying for that trainer, he or she is charging you X amount of dollars to be there. So the more the merrier. Invite those families. That's going to really show them that you care, and it's going to get them to know your teachers and you at a different level. So it's a nice way to maintain a family-friendly environment. And another option is to have programs that link families to health and social services. You can do that in a variety of different ways. You can have some social services come into your center to do child outreach, to do hearing tests, to do eye tests, to check to make sure seatbelts are in their seatbelts and car seats are being used properly. So lots of different things that we can do to just maintain that family-friendly environment. And I encourage you to try some of these. Listen when they talk. Stay calm. Listen. Family members will approach you with issues. Always let them speak. Sometimes you want to interrupt them because what they're saying is totally off base. You know it's off base, but let them speak. Stay calm. Your facial expression, you can show a concerned face, but don't show a mad face. Don't let them see that you're mad by what they're saying. You want to try to stay as calm as you can, and avoid interrupting them. Shake your head, take notes of what they're saying, just bullets, but truly listen to what they say. Give them the opportunity to voice all of their concerns before you respond, okay? You want them to feel heard and not hushed. When a customer or a family is angry, they must experience and express their anger through venting. And sometimes I'll have to ask them, are you venting, or is this a real concern? Do you want me to do something about it? Because sometimes we don't know. You know, over the years, I had one mom who came into my center every day and sat down in my office. And I would say to her, is this something that you want me to do anything about? Oh, no, I just wanted to talk. Where other families want you to take action, really depending on what their thoughts and their concerns are. So if a family member expresses anger and we fail to respond to it, the communication chain is broken. And they might feel that they're not getting through to us. They might think that we don't care. And they might begin to speak louder, maybe even yell or use some choice words that we don't want to hear. So it's really important that we listen. After we listen, now it's time to acknowledge their concerns. Remember, don't take their concerns personally. After listening, let them know, even if their concern is ill-founded, that you will investigate. You know, something like, clearly you're upset and I want to know what's going on and get me to the bottom of this just as much as you do, will really, really ease their mind. Okay. You can keep an angry family member from getting angrier by saying something like, I'm sorry that you feel this way, or let me investigate, right? You want to always investigate. Make sure you acknowledge their anger. Allow them to vent. It's hard. It's hard. Sometimes we take it personally. I know when I first started working in early care and education 28 years ago, I took it personally. I owned the child care center. When they were talking bad or ill about my center or my employees or about other children at my program, it just broke my heart. And I took it really, really seriously. But you can't. You got to take it seriously, but you can't. I took it really personally. I'm sorry. You can't take it personally, right? I think we all know that. Really important that we just acknowledge that. And it's going to reduce your stress level if you do not take it personally. And the last thing you want to do is you want to thank them. Thank them for being comfortable enough to share their concern with you. Because we know that for every family that every family that shares, there's 10 they say that didn't share. So even though we don't like what they're sharing, thank them for taking the time, because if they didn't share, we wouldn't know that they were feeling that way. An apology works. An apology works. I'm not saying to apologize for parents every time they come to you and say that they're having a concern, right? But an apology will diffuse the anger and will establish trust. So if a parent came to me and shared a concern today, I would say something like, I am so sorry that you feel that way, or I'm so sorry that this happened to you. Something as simple as that. I'm not going to apologize for the actions of a coworker. I'm going to say, I will investigate. I'm sorry that this happened, or I'm sorry that you feel this way, or I'm sorry that you heard this rumor. I am going to investigate. Okay. An apology is going to more than likely reduce lawsuits, reduce lots of families leaving your center because they're upset. So an apology can go a long, long way. Of course, you need to word that carefully, right? I'm sorry that you're frustrated, or I'm sorry that you feel this way. Those are the two key sorries that I used when I owned my child care center. When you have something negative to share, maybe you did some investigations and you have something negative to share, avoid communicating in writing. You want to see their body language. You want them to see yours. You want them to know that you're not mad at their child, or you're not mad at them, right? You're disappointed. This is what happened. I need to let you know. And then you can read their body language, and you can learn how to speak, what to say next, right? By looking at and reading body language. Spoken language is just so much easier. I know we might have a little bit more stress doing it when we're speaking with them, but it's so much better. Pick up the phone. I mean, if you're nervous to confront them face to face, pick up the phone and call them. Set up an interview or a telephone conference or a Zoom call like we're doing right now. Lots of different ways that you can reach out and speak with them. So if you can't see that body language through a telephone call, maybe you can do an audio conference with them. Written language, certainly sometimes we have to communicate with written language. We can't get in touch with the families. But when you are writing communication about something negative in writing, be cautious of how you do that. Think about it carefully. And you might want to read it again before sending it to make sure that it's not written too harshly, because families sometimes interpret what we write a little bit differently than what we want it to say. And I think we've all had experiences like that in the past. So another thing is keeping Lines of communication open. A family came to you. They complained about something that was going on in your center. You're going to listen, right? You're going to listen to what they have to say. You're going to tell them that, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Then you're going to investigate. You're going to talk to the teachers who may have been involved. You're going to talk to the other families that may have been involved. Whoever it was that may have been involved, you're going to investigate. You're going to come up with a plan. You're going to resolve that with the teachers, with the children, with whoever you need to resolve that with. And then you're going to share with the family who had the concern. Thank them again for their concern. Thank you so much for your concern. I investigated. I resolved the issue. Depending on how you resolved it, you might want to tell them. However, remember to maintain confidentiality. If you gave the teacher a written warning or you terminated the teacher, you might not want to say that because they might say, oh, I didn't want her to get fired, right? So let them know that you investigated, you resolved, and to certainly let you know if anything like that ever happens again. Okay, and you want to do this in a very timely manner. You don't want to wait a week. You don't want to wait 2 weeks. If somebody complains today, I'm going to investigate today. If not today, first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going to try to resolve that within the next 24 hours and share with that family when they pick up that evening, or pick up the phone and ask them if they can come into my office, or if we can discuss it on the phone. So I want to resolve that as quickly as possible. If it takes a little bit longer to investigate, let them know I am investigating, but the teacher who works in that classroom is on vacation this week. I tried calling her and we were not able to touch base, but I am still investigating. Your concern is still very, very important to me. Okay. Another thing is that ongoing communication. After that family complains or shares a concern, sometimes we want to avoid them at all costs, right? That mom, all she ever does is complain. You've got those furious fathers and those monster mothers, and all they do is complain. But yet you have other families who just love you and you can do no wrong, right? So what do? We try to pay attention to those that love us, and we try to avoid those that don't, right? And that's totally opposite of what we should do. We want to have ongoing communication, especially with those that may have shown that they were disappointed or unhappy. If you're busy in your office or you're busy chatting with somebody, working with the children, smile at them when they walk into the program, wave to them, acknowledge that they're there. Ask them a week later, how's everything going? Do you have any other concerns? So just don't avoid them. Okay, that I think is one of the biggest takeaway from this, is never ever to avoid those families that have come with you to you with concerns. Now I want to hear from you. I want to hear how else early childhood professionals can ensure that they are maintaining collaborative partnerships with families. Does anybody want to share? What do you do at your center? You can just type that in the chat box. Planning different events for them, certainly a nice way to get them involved, to build that partnership. Summertime is here, doing some summer outings, maybe a day at the zoo. Whoever wants to go to the zoo, we're meeting at the front gate at X time on Saturday. So the families can all get together and they can walk around. You don't have to take a bus and do it together, but let's meet at Roger Williams Zoo at 9 o'clock on Saturday. Anybody who's free and wants to join us will be there. So little things like that. Anything else? Okay, doesn't look like there's too much sharing going on. Does anyone have any questions at all? Yeah, building a community is just such a great idea. Having potlucks at a meeting, absolutely, Tanya. So when you're having a meeting, have those potlucks. It's going to be really, really helpful. Encourage volunteering and visiting classrooms. Yes, absolutely. If they can come in and read a story to the children. We had a mom at my child care center who was a Spanish teacher. So she was teaching Spanish to high school students, and she would come in with her early childhood Spanish books that she read to her son at home, and she would read a book. It would take her 5-10 minutes every day. Every day she had a different book that she would bring into school, and she would, at drop-off time, read a story to the children. Even though they didn't understand her, or most of them didn't understand her, they all sat there watching her. And some of them knew the books because they had them in English. We had them in English, so some of them knew the books that she was reading, and they would try to translate what she was saying. It was cute. It was fun. She enjoyed it. We enjoyed having her, and she never took more than 5 or 10 minutes. So it was really, really nice. Yeah, some school districts are strict and won't allow families into your classroom, which is really unfortunate. But you can still get them involved by asking them to send a book to school that you can read, something that represents them, their diversity, their culture, right? So you can do that too to still keep them involved even though they can't be in the classroom. Having a STEM night for students and families is another great idea, absolutely. Yes, let families know what lessons you're doing for a week. You can do that through your newsletter. You can do that on your Facebook, right? You can do a blog. There's so many different ways that you can do that. Monthly newsletters, weekly newsletters, daily report cards. My child care center, we did daily report cards for our infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. We didn't do them for our school age or kindergarten children, but we did daily report cards letting their families know what their day was like. Took a lot of time to write them, but we did it during nap time. We were able to fill those out. Yes, I love it, Christy. At my center, we had whiteout boards next to the sign-in sheets, and it was, what did we do today? We would tell parents what we did today. So today's main activity was XYZ. That way their parents could be driving home with their child and say, what did you do today? And if the child said, oh, I played all day, they could say, oh, I read on the whiteout board that you also finger painted. What did you finger paint? Did you have fun? Right? Or you had a guest visitor who came into your school today. Oh, the firefighter came. So really sharing those quick little messages on a whiteout board with some key questions that parents can ask their child driving home is going to really be beneficial. They're going to know that their children did play today, but what they learned as they were playing too. So important. Monthly newsletters, yes, absolutely. Offer parents coffee as they drop off their children. That is wonderful. It might keep them around for a couple of seconds longer, right? Joey helped somebody who was hurt today. He was a great friend. Those quick little things, right? Instead of just saying, Joey bit somebody today, right? If you only have those negatives to say, you're not going to get very far, going to gain much respect from those families. But letting them know if he helps somebody, it's going to make a big, big difference. Give positives, absolutely. And then when you have to share that negative, because we do, even the children who wear halos on their heads, from time to time they get into group issues, right? And from time to time we do have to share something that might not be positive. Maybe they got hurt by a friend, or maybe they did or said something that hurt somebody's feelings, and we might have to share that with the family. And I always say, pick and choose what you tell, the negatives that you tell families. Sometimes we tell them too many. It's really about getting to know our children and our families. If we've already resolved the situation and, we don't think it's going to happen again, is there a need to share with the family? I think it really depends on what it is, right? We don't want to tell them every little thing that their child did at school, but We should be able to, when they pick up and they say, how was Johnny's day, say something more than he had a good day or he had a bad day, right? We want to be able to give an example. Give an example. Oh, he was so engaged when he was playing in blocks today. He had a tower that was up to his nose, right? How's the new baby? If they have a new baby, yes. You know, you don't have an hour to talk to them about how the new baby is, but you know what? You can look at them, smile at them, and say, hi, how's the new baby? Oh, is that the new baby? Let me see. Show interest in their family. Absolutely. Great thoughts, everybody. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any questions. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. If you think of anything, if you want to keep in touch with me, feel free to email me at nancy.moretti@faculty.ashford.edu. I'm pretty quick to respond to my email, so don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything at all. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Nancy. That was amazing. I know that family collaboration is such an important part of our jobs. The certificate for this has been posted in the chat box, so please go and grab that really quickly. Our next session will start in 45 minutes. We actually had a cancellation, so we are going to do another session. And we're pretty excited about it. So this afternoon, we have 3 more presenters. We are actually going to go out of the room and then come back in. So in about 45 minutes, meet us right back here, and we will start on our afternoon session. Run and grab you a snack or some lunch, and we will see you soon. Thanks so much for coming to the morning session. See you in just a bit.
Thank you.